Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at 12665 Southwest 136 Court here in Tigard. I describe everything as if you're standing in the street facing the front of this house. We are at the left side of the home, but near the back left corner, about 10 feet in from that corner there. Got a 4-inch cast iron clean out. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is currently running. We're going to zero the foot counter out here at the base of the clean out. Off we go. Transitioning here over to 4-inch 3034 PVC pipe. We do have some settling that's taken place here on that first turn. We're going to revisit this on the way out once the line is drained. The one thing I'm not seeing much of there is any buildup. So, and if you're going to have a belly, I'm glad the belly's in the plastic pipe and not in the cast iron. That same belly in cast iron is a much more concerning animal. In plastic pipe, you know, I've got a garden hose running full bore right now, which is exaggerating that thing to an extent. That smooth plastic pipe wall does a great deal to mitigate buildup. As long as the line's being treated properly and improper things aren't going down the line, bellies in plastic pipe generally don't cause issues. We just swapped over there to standard PVC for a moment. Now we're back to 3034 again. All right, we're gonna stop here and let the line drain off for a second. You've got a pretty nasty offset here. In fact, that thing is likely open to the ground, but it looks like the top of the pipe is letting all kinds of stuff into the line right here. All right, just spent a bit of time there locating where we're currently sitting at. As you face into this property from the street, the locate is coming in right up against the left side fence line. There's a huge tree at the front left corner of the property, right before the property dips down to the street. Anyway, just on the other side of that huge tree there, you're going to see a green arrow. That arrow is just a reference mark. That's not a dig marking. I, for some reason, cannot get my locate right on top of this area here. I'm not sure what the deal is, but it's an awkward spot for one thing. There's a lot of overgrown bushes there. But anyway, I've gone around the fence, on both sides of the fence, all over the place in there, and I cannot get a pinpoint location in that spot. So anyway, this joint here looks like it is wide open to the ground. The roots have plowed their way through both the top of the line and separated the bottom area. So that's something that's very much in need of repair. As it sits right now, it's not really doing a whole lot to affect functionality. If we were closer in here, my camera would probably hop that spot. It's just we're so far out now, I don't have any leverage. So anyway, what I recommend is a repair there, and during the repair process, run the camera through the sewer line to get a better, or I'm sorry, not to get a better, but to camera the remainder of the sewer line. Where I'm stopping there is approximately, in a straight line anyway, about 15 feet or so from the street edge, maybe 20 feet. The line does a bunch of diving, though. It could be considerably more pipe. But anyway, being that it needs fixing, it's one that makes more sense just to have the repair guys dig that thing up and get it located, dig it up, and then camera through that spot while the trench is open to make sure you don't have any issues beyond that point there. But that's a spot that you really want to get corrected. As it sits right now, because of how far away from the home it is, it's not doing much to affect functionality right now, but when your line is wide open in that fashion, that's likely going to change and progress with time, especially if a lot of hydro erosion takes place. That joint's sucking a lot of dirt through it. It's one of those that's going to be a progressive situation, or likely will be anyway. Anyway, I've been locating lines for 13 years now. It's a frustrating one. I can't get on top of that thing. And it's hard to tell where you're at there. I think it's on this side of the fence line. I'm close enough to the fence, and with that, the amount of diving the line does there, it's possible the line crosses the fence line, but I think it likely remains on this side of it. I got my best locates on this side of the fence. Little burr at the joint there. That's not a root. Looks like a little plastic burr or something like that from when the line was installed. And this looks like a relatively new sewer line. You might contact the old repair company to see if they have any warranty for their work or anything like that. You've got what looks like a little bit of grease packed into that joint right there. This is also the tail end of a belly. So not weird to have a little bit of buildup, especially if you're putting anything like grease or cooking oil down the line. It could also be some human waste potentially. But anyway, the buildup in here is minimal. It's so light duty. I mean, it's not even a spot I'd recommend cleaning. So this is the kind of belly that, you know, not that bellies can't cause problems, but in a smooth plastic sewer line like this, by and large, where that's going to be problematic if the line is being abused and abused on a consistent basis. From about 6 or 5 feet, from about 5 to 10 feet, you have 1 inch of standing water. So, and the 5 foot mark with 1 inch of water is where I start to consider repairs. I don't recommend repairs on a lot of bellies of that size, and a lot of it comes down to how the line's displaying itself. I'm not seeing a bunch of buildup on the sidewalls, blockage evidence, and blockage evidence and buildup that is related to proper usage items. When I see a bunch of grease buildup and stuff like that, wipes, that's not a metric I use to gauge how a belly is handling flow, because those are improper items. If I start seeing toilet paper scraps stuck all over the place, things like that, and there's no grease buildup or anything else in conjunction with it, that's where it's a little more concerning situation, as to where proper usage items are having a hard time getting through there. So based on what I see here, there's no evidence of that at all, and that's my experience with bellies after 13 years and 25,000 sewer scopes. Bellies in plastic pipe, they generally speaking, especially when they're this size, this is not a huge belly, generally do not cause problems unless the homeowner is helping it along quite a lot. So if you take that same belly and you put it in the cast iron pipe, a different animal altogether. I'd be singing a different tune about that. The rough pipe walls in cast iron coupled with standing water is not a combination I love. Anyway, I recommend a spot repair. I wish I could give you a little more info on the depth there and exactly where that spot is, but I'm having a heck of a time here getting a good locate in that spot. So if you walk over there right up against the fence line near the front left corner of the property, or the yard, I should say anyway, before the yard dips down to the road, you'll see a green arrow kind of pointing towards the road. That's approximately where I'm picking up the locate, just to help anyone zero in on a spot there. It's just not one I'm getting a good enough locate to feel comfortable putting an exact marking and a depth down. After any repairs are done, make sure a rescope is performed to check the work, and you want to do that rescope after the trench is closed, not beforehand, or you're not going to catch any settling problems that occur. So that tree over there, likely that big one, is probably the culprit. It's hard to say, but sometimes these things get buried, they settle, which causes the joint to be compromised and weakens it to roots. But that tree over there is large enough that it can strong arm its way through a perfectly good sewer line. So anyway, that's one we want to get corrected and rescoped, as well as camera the remainder of the sewer line at some point during that process to make sure that there aren't any further issues beyond that. It's not uncommon to get one root intrusion and then see another one, the next joint after it, something like that. Everything prior to that spot there, again, the belly, in my opinion, is not displaying enough evidence of flow problems in the past. There's hardly enough buildup to recommend $5 in drain cleaning on it. If I can't even do that, I generally do not jump to repair options. So that belly is not significant enough, in my opinion, nor is it displaying enough evidence of past flow issues, in my opinion, to recommend repairs on that. Just treat the line properly. That's the big thing. And the remainder of the line between that belly and the root intrusion / offset separation, all that stuff is in good condition, has good flow.